Yes, because we're starting this off with a little bit of Olympics coverage, and then we're going to
Yes.
go into our thoughts about Deadpool. Now that it has been a week out and we can finally talk about spoilers. And if this
Yes.
point you still haven't seen it, then go see
If
it.
this
But
point, if you haven't seen spoilers, honestly, more power to you. That's honestly impressive at this point because I've
right.
opened Instagram, I've opened Twitter, multiple social media apps, and just it's like boom, right there in your face.
I've heard that they not to get off we're going to go back to the Olympics, but I've heard that they've leaked scenes from the finale. And everybody keeps
Yeah,
talking about it.
I haven't
And
seen one. I haven't
I
been
haven't
looking,
either.
but I have not seen it
I haven't either.
because I've been prepared to swipe away. Although there was a small part of me that was like, "You've got that soccer game on Sunday, and hey, you could just watch it now and then be ready." I was like, "No, no, no."
Yeah, and so like in a group chat, the guys were talking about like, oh hey, just be prepared. All over social media, there's spoilers for the finale. And my
Right.
comment was, I go, well, the book is already written. And then the comment I got was, Janelle, we don't read. And so, but I was like, but I and try and I without trying to. I didn't spoil it. I wasn't because I didn't want to do that for them having not seen it. The only question was, um, did it show anybody dying in any of the scenes? And they were like, nothing that we saw. And I said, well, then did yeah, it doesn't really feel like they're really going nothing really feels like it's too big of a spoiler then. Like
Right.
that's like if you know, if you know, you know. So it's like if they're not going through all of those things that are going to happen, then
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fair.
But I have heard what some of them are, and I'm like, those weren't in the and no shade to how they are adjusting the show, from the book, because again, there's a lot of blank area in the book as far as like it's very. I don't say it's short that the story's short, but there's a lot of things that are like when Damon disappears, we don't know. You hear that like, and then he's just gathered people. We don't know the conversations and stuff like that. So I mean, obviously they're allowed to, expand on that. So the direction that I've heard that they're going as far as what they'll be showing in the finale, I don't feel like is a really big spoiler because it wasn't in the book, but I'm not angry that they're putting it in the show.
And
I
we'll
feel
leave it
like,
at
yeah,
that.
it'll add something to it. It'll do what it needs to do for fan service for people who love, Game of Thrones and House of Dragon kind of. I think it'll be good, but I don't really feel like it's if they're not showing like a major in these spoilers, I don't feel like it's too big of a
Yeah.
so. But yeah, I guess we'll see on Sunday.
Yeah.
73 minutes, I think it is. But yeah, but back to Olympics and
Yes.
how we live now, how we live and die with sports we never cared about up
Right.
until these past few weeks.
Synchronized diving. I'm locked
Trampoline.
in. Trampoline, which also I'm compiling a list of events that
Oh,
I think need to be removed from the Olympics and events that need to be added. I'm prepared for hate. I'm honestly, it's not going to be brought up on this one because my list isn't done. But handball, you're on the list. Honestly, trampoline is kind of on there. Trampoline, I'm on the fence. Sarah thinks like it's really talented, which I don't disagree, but the floor routine is right there. Like if you're gonna do a bunch of flips, like I already saw Simone Biles and people do stuff off the floor,
right.
which gets me on a whole nother rant that I'm not gonna go on because people will take it the wrong way. But like you said, there are events, sports, not just event, just whole sports that like glued to the TV. I'm not blinking, I'm not breathing. Yeah, and it's funny because there's like two groups. There's events that I never watched before, and I will never watch unless it's the Olympics. But then there's other things that I am now a fan of. I am a fan of rugby, and I always knew rugby was a physical
Sure.
sport, but I never watched it. But you know, you you make it a competition with the different countries, you slap some flags on there. I'm all in, I'm invested. And now I'm like, I love rugby.
Is it
Sevens,
Ilona? Ilona?
Ilona,
Ilona
Ilona,
Mar?
yeah,
Yeah.
she just her energy
Yes.
and just everything about her and just the team in general. Oh man, I think that's been my favorite thing from the Olympics is just been the women's rugby, and it sucks that they're done now.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, like in the stories to have come out of is like the
Yes,
Flavor Flav,
that
like
was all. I mean,
who
yeah,
who and
not on your bingo card.
not at all. Like you sit there and you're watching, you're like, okay, so Flavor Flav is sponsoring the US women's water polo team. Snoop Dogg is in the crowd of swimming. Like
It's got to be an SNL skit, but it's real.
as somebody as the generation that grew up with these guys.
Bro, that's the other thing. People, I mean, Snoop Dogg, he's kind of been out and about, like you know who he is, but I feel like for a lot of people, Flavor Flav, they have no idea who he is, or they just know, oh yeah, the big clock guy. He had a show on MTV, Flavor of Love. Like, come on now. Like, they don't know who he
It's
is.
yeah, no, like my generation so knows who Flavor Flav is. Like
Yeah.
that's we especially because like we were the generation that I mean, there's a little bit older than us, but I mean, like the Generation X really got to grow up with MTV in its heyday, where like it was actually music television and they had
Yes.
Yo MTV raps on and all that. Like that is we grew up with that. I mean, like it's and so it's I was saying like you if you would take could I go back to my past self? I went back and told my past self, hey, do you see those guys on Yo MTV Raps? You know, one of these days they're going to be heavily involved in the Olympics.
Wild.
You never. I'm like your mind can't possibly wrap. It just it's amazing and it's mind blowing at the same time. And I really think I fully believe that every millionaire slash billionaire from here on out, when interviewed, needs to be asked, and what Olympic team are you sponsoring?
Yes.
Because I looked up his net worth. He is worth $2 million. Now, I'm not saying that that is chump change by any means. I would love to have $2 million, but that is nowhere on the scale of what these celebrities have that are not doing anything compared to what he's doing.
Yeah.
He paid for all, and from my understanding is he is paying for a trip for them after it is over for them all to enjoy. Like it's exactly what it's exactly what a celebrity and millionaire should be doing for their ROI, their return on investment is like you're investing in people.
And the way it happened was so organic. Like one of the women on the team made an Instagram post, as one does,
Right.
basically talking about how the Olympics are coming up and we're having to get multiple jobs to fund training, travel, equipment, all of that. And it's not like we're some new startup team. They are the
Right.
back-to-back gold medal
Right.
champions, and they are struggling to fund their sport. And I realize the income revenue depends on your league. Obviously, like the NBA players don't have
Sure.
issues with that because they have an NBA league. So I realize that people aren't going to watch water polo events and cities don't have teams, they don't have merchandise. Like I get that, but when you are being asked to represent your country and you are struggling to even fund the sport that it's not a great look. And he saw that and he replied and basically said, that's crazy being a girl dad. Like I want to help. I'm gonna do this, and this. That's a Flavor Flav promise. And I feel like even at the time,
It
if you
sounded
saw
bigger.
that comment, I'd be like, all right, dude, like that's cool, but whatever. But then you see him in the water, like before the Olympics started, you saw the videos of him like actually meeting the team and training with them. And doing all that, and now he's there. It's like, no, like he saw a real issue. He said he was going to assist, and he did. That is huge.
Hmm.
And yes, that is what every millionaire, billionaire should be doing with their
With
money. And
them.
I know the immediate comment is, well, we don't tell millionaires what to do with their money, blah, 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 blah. I just need to know, or I guess I want to let all of you know, these millionaires and billionaires do not know you. They do not care about you. I don't know why you guys are
And the
constantly
chances
out
of
here
you becoming
defending.
one, yeah, and the chance, stop defending them because you
Stop white
think,
knighting for these
well,
people.
like because you think that like, well, it's like it's gonna like eventually like everybody's dream is to become a millionaire, billionaire. It takes away nothing from like you can still want it. You can still like I would applaud you if you became it, but then I would also be like, now what are you doing? Like there again, also money is a finite resource. It is you there it is not a it is not an infinite resource. There is a finite amount of money in the world. So for a few people to be gathering it to themselves and hoarding it, when I think, could I be sponsoring an Olympic team that would mean very pennies to me? Or can I hoard it and buy three new boats? Like it, it sounds pretty like, and look at what it's done for him. Look again, his return on investment. Look what it's done for him. And like they even just going, they say that when he goes and he gets autographs, he stands there and takes pictures and autographs as long as there's somebody in line to get to him while he's there. He has never turned down an autograph, a signature, nothing while he's been there.
That's awesome.
That they said that the line can be 100 people long and he will just, everybody that wants a picture with him will get a picture with him. Like
That's
it,
awesome.
and you see that and you're like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I do judge you if you're a millionaire and billionaire and you're not like, I'm sorry, but Jeff Bezos, if Flavor Flav worth $2 million can do this, there are Olympic teams and Olympic athletes that are again representing your country that you have that has allowed you to make billions of dollars.
And you
It would
know
cost you
Jeff
nothing.
Bezos, and this hasn't been confirmed, I'm just telling you because I believe it in my soul. NBC has the rights to the Olympics, blah, blah, blah. You know Jeff Bezos is making phone calls trying to figure out how he can get rights to some at least some of the coverage. I guarantee he has made at least one phone call. So if you are willing to spend money to get the Olympics like you did with Thursday night
Football,
football, you can
absolutely.
fund some of these field hockey teams or these
That are
teams
yeah,
that don't have the resources.
college students.
Exactly. Because again, you can look at some of the athletes, and the go-to for me, obviously, is the NBA. The basketball sports, like they don't need funding, or at least not the American team. Like we just don't. Honestly, any player on that team could probably fund the entire team and the like half the other events. But the other sports that don't have
Sports you've never
a
heard of. Half court
exactly
basketball. Like
3-on-3
who's
basketball, handball, just
well,
all the other sports you've never heard of that don't have, full teams in their cities with a full season and merchandise and $1 million stadiums. Those are the teams that we are cheering for and wanting and rooting for and expecting to win. We should be making sure that getting to the event and training and traveling for those
is
events
the least stressful thing for
is
them.
exactly
The least.
100%.
Yeah.
And but another thing about the Olympics that I think is just awesome, and
Besides
obviously I'm always
handball.
rooting for I'll get to that. I obviously am rooting for USA, and then when it comes to track and field, it's like USA, and then Jamaica is like my second. I love the Jamaican team, but one of the things I just love, regardless of who wins, is whenever that athlete for whatever country it is does get on the podium and you just see the emotion because you know how hard they worked. Doesn't matter what country they're for, gets me every time. And if the camera pans to their parents in the stands and they're emotional, I'm done for. I'm done for. Like I'm already losing it with that person, and you just see the emotion on their face after all their hard work. But then you see the parents. 'Cause there was a commercial during the Winter Olympics from like 20 whatever one of the Winter Olympics was a few years ago, and it was like a P&G company. I think they made home
Oh yeah.
products, but the commercial started off with like kids ice skating, playing hockey, and snowboarding, and it was them as like a toddler, and they were like snowboarding and falling, and their mom like picked
Right.
them up. And then they were a little bit older, and they're skating, and they were getting knocked over in hockey or falling during their figure skating competitions, and their mom was in the crowd like cheering for them and wiping off their bruises. Then it showed them like in college, trying out for the Olympics or whatever, and failing and getting hurt, and you see like the girl in crutches or the guys playing hockey and just gets knocked out, and you see the
Sure.
mom on the sidelines, and then the commercial ends with like all of those characters being at the Olympics and winning, and then the
Thanks,
camera
Mom.
pans over to the moms, and it's like, "Thank you, mom, like for showing us that
Hmm.
falling down only makes us stronger." I remember sitting in my living room and that commercial coming on, and I'm being like, all right, guys, let's just cut the
I
camera.
did
It's like, what are we
I
doing?
I did tear up. I watched the men's rowing, which who were not
Yes,
expected to win.
at all, because
And
it's been
you were
years.
right. I think it was either was it they say 54, 64,
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
54 or 64 years, and they pulled away during that last like 500 meters because like
Yes.
they were in the front, and then it was like Great Britain or Australia got like really close,
Yeah.
and then they just turned on the burners, and you could that one they got they
And when
got me.
there was one of the four up on the podium, and he just couldn't hold it together.
Yes,
And he was
yes,
singing and he was crying at
and
the
you
same,
could
and I
just see
thought,
him. He was like trying to sing, but like just getting caught up.
oh,
Uh,
it was, yeah,
I
he
can't
was
do
full
it.
balling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
obviously
was
it gets me
beautiful.
more if it's like the Americans, but legit, it's just anybody.
Anybody.
Because being, a washed up former high school athlete, it was tough doing that. And, then I played like rec league basketball and I was worn out. So then when I see these people that like, they are the best in the world, like
Blood, sweat, and tears.
you have just proven that you were the best or at worst the third best at what you do. Like seeing them emotional makes me emotional.
Oh
And
yeah.
then when you see the parents knowing that they were there like every step of the way, just it gets me.
It's a great time of year.
It really
It
is.
really is. And I'm so happy that it seems, at least, I mean, again, like I mean, this is very anecdotal, but I mean, like at least it seems with social media that it's taken on kind of a resurgence.
Yes,
Um, like I guess because 2020, I guess would have been during COVID year, and so it
2021
was.
because they canceled
Oh,
2020.
that's right.
So
Okay.
20,
So yeah, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a little weird, when everybody was trying to get back into. I feel like this is not that like we're just now coming out of it because it's been a while, but there's just something about this year, and you just kind of feel like everybody's watching. But I mean, I don't want to say that because I'll be like, oh, and now ratings are down. But I don't feel like I feel like everybody's watching some part of it and knows
yeah.
and is making like, and to me, I love, like, normally I hate celebrities being made out of regular people, like the Hawk Tuah girl.
Ugh,
I mean, no
yeah.
shade to
That's
her.
immediately what my mind went to.
No shade to her. It's just we don't need to. I have less problem with her than I do the people that made her a celebrity, but that's
That's
neither here
fair.
nor there.
That's fair.
Right? Because I think she should absolutely cash in. I'm just like, I am concerned about the people who think they should legitimately make people like these celebrities. But I I the Olympic, I feel like Olympic athletes are different because like they're there and they're doing something that I absolutely can't do, and the majority of the population can't do. So like they deserve to have the spotlight on them in however way that, like the guy from Turkey who is clearly innocent
Oh, that man.
during the shooting,
Oh,
hand in
just
his pocket and in his
hand in
other
his
pocket,
pocket, no special lenses,
showed up,
cool pressure,
t-shirt, jeans.
just walked in off the street. It's like, oh, where's your gear? Is like, what are you talking about?
Gear.
You got the pistols? That's all I need.
Right, when I do this for a living, I don't need
This
gear.
is my gear.
Right. Like that, and it's like the kid, there's the Norwegian swimmer who is on TikTok. His name, I believe, is Hendrik Christensen, and he's
Yes,
with the
yes.
muffins.
Yes, he like just losing his mind over those chocolate
And
muffins. Like now I
they're
want to go over there and try one.
and the videos are, if you're not like, if you got to look at, they're hilarious. You can tell that he was already like goofy to begin with, but this muffin thing has just but like
Yes.
I don't, but like I love the celebrities being made out of, I was gonna say these kids, but yeah, that guy from Turkey had to have been in his 50s. I mean, like, but I feel like they kind of like, I don't mind it because again, they're over there they're over there because they're accomplishing something that none of the rest of us can't do. So go ahead, highlight them, spotlight them. Hopefully it brings them money and sponsorships in some
Yep.
sort of way that we're unaware of. I wish nothing but the best. So it's like you like the Ilona Mar and like I said, like this kid from Norway, and you just have all these people that are like, I want, I just, I think they deserve all the spotlight in
I
how
want nothing
another
but
way.
good things for you, and you deserve all
Yeah.
of the attention that you're getting.
Yeah. The kid with the glasses who did the pommel horse, and I'm
Just the
blanking.
sleeper agent that was just laid back, and then when they activated him, he's like, "All right, let me just go up here and do my thing." And it was like I saw a meme. It was like, "It's funny that everyone's calling him a nerd when he quite literally was like the most athletic person and nailed his routine to
Right.
secure a medal."
Just
But
because he's
it's like,
got
"Oh yeah, he's
glasses.
got glasses. He's a nerd."
Right. And yeah, must be some sort of dork, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like he's the guy we shoved into lockers. Like, did you just see what he just did? Like, are you sure about that? And
Yeah,
then
that's one.
for the gymnasts, I think one of my favorite things is whenever, because with technology now we can do the live feeds when they show the camera at not just the gymnast, but you see it the most with them. But when it pans to the watch party happening at that athlete's
Oh yeah,
home
Jim.
training gym,
Hmm.
and you see the entire town, but these kids that are
Little girl. Yeah.
also young gymnasts or swimmers that are watching these people that train in that gym, they look like
Seeing it's
superheroes
possible.
to them, seeing that it's possible. Like that is just so cool to me. Like again, you see it the most with gymnasts, but I saw it for swimming and I saw it for
Yep.
other stuff. But it's like let's check in on Simone Biles and Simu Lee's gym, and then you just go over and you see these kids, like legitimate kids,
Yes.
like you said, seeing that it's possible, and it's like it is just a special time of year. And I
It
know
really
we talked
is.
about it back in January on our first episode about how we were both excited for the Olympics, and it has not let me down. And I have consumed so much Olympic
I feel
content.
like it's exceeded my I think
Yes,
with
and the
all
track and field
the,
just started today, and it's already exceeded my
yeah,
expectations.
I feel like the everything coming out of it has exceeded. Like there's such, again, in finding these characters, which I mean, I feel like that's kind of denigrating. These are like world professional athletes, but I mean, like these characters and championing around it, regardless of what country they may be in, and just being like, this is like in the stories and the good natured jokes coming out about like
Yeah,
yeah, it's exceeded my expectations. I think
I
it's,
love it so much.
yeah, it's something that for people who don't watch House of Dragon or Game of Thrones, it's weird. It's I shouldn't say weird. It's nice to see something else that can bring a whole bunch of people together that are like genuinely like, for the most part, talking well about it and excited about it, and I can't wait for the next event, and this is insane. And I mean, like, again, living and dying by horse jumping right now, like, I mean, it's like, what am I doing here at night?
Right.
Like,
It is insane. It really is. And then obviously, I have so many Olympic topics I could talk about. I love seeing the BMX and
yeah.
skateboarding in the Olympics and 3-on-3 basketball, but BMX and skateboarding and breakdancing, like those were sports that before there were skate parks and all of this, it was like you were the rebels and
Mhm.
you were the outcast athletes. And
Right.
now
It was
BMXers and
X game
skate
stuff,
exactly.
that wasn't. And what's very funny though is people like will crap on like anybody who craps on like the fact that breakdancing or anything like that, is I'm like, I defy you, or actually I challenge you, go back to the
Quiet.
1924 Olympics. There were gold medals handled out for painting. Okay. Like, it is, the Olympics are allowed to evolve over time to capture what
Yes.
is going on and is what is popular and what people are putting their money and what kids are gravitating to. And yeah, you might eventually see esports in one of these, and that shouldn't surprise you. Like, it might be maybe a Winter Olympic thing because it's indoor, I don't know. But I mean, like, it, for anybody that's crapping on certain, like, like, we can all joke about what we're going to talk about, as far as handball.
Yeah.
I mean, like, in trampoline and things that we might think like, oh, I could do this. Well, one, then do it. And then two, at one time, they had medals for painting, sculpture, architecture, poetry. Like,
Exactly.
calm down. Like,
But now we
it's
need to get that leads me to my main point that I have been tweeting, I have been Facebooking, I have been messaging, emailing the IOC, which is a corrupt organization, for years to add obstacle course racing to the Olympics. And I
it
know
will.
there's like different formats.
I feel like it
I
will
need
be.
it
I feel like
like
eventually it will be. Yeah.
the CEO of Spartan has been meeting with the IOC for years, but there's like it's just and it's not something that the Americans would just dominate. Like this is a global sport
Right.
and obstacles need to be in. They finally got it in, but it's in the heptathlon, but it's like so there's like 8 events or 9 events. There's like a very short obstacle course that's like event
Let's
7.
start.
But
It's a
that's a
start.
start. That is a start. Not gonna deny that.
Right.
But unfortunately, the OCR, the obstacle course racing athletes, are not doing the other 8
Right.
events. So they're like, well, it's there. But again, it is a
It is a
start.
start. Baby
But I
steps. You
think
get
it'll
small
build from
victories.
there. And I want obstacle course racing to be put in. I know there's different formats. You can do it individuals, you can do it with teams. How you want to do it with a speed course, you want to do a 3, 5, 10 mile course. Like I have written emails, I have tweets, like I have been going when it is eventually added,
I think
I
it will
want you
be.
to know that I am taking credit for it. I am taking credit for when obstacle course racing is put in the Olympics, whenever that is. But
Yes.
yes, it is an evolving
Yeah.
the Olympics itself is an evolving thing. Certain weightlifting got taken out, I think, but it's getting put back in 2024. I think they added rock climbing or bouldering, or it's going to be added soon. They added breakdancing or breaking, as they call it, skateboarding. Other things have fallen off.
Sure.
I do question why ping pong is still in there. No shade to the like 57-year-old woman that joined and won and got a medal. Honestly, that was awesome to see.
Right.
But I'm just like, ping pong? And again, could you do it? No, I couldn't. I'm honestly, I'm terrible at ping pong. But I look at it and I'm like, okay, okay,
Right. But it's like,
fine.
that's what I'm saying. Is like, it does evolve. They do get things taken in, things put in, taken out. I think it's just, it's always interesting to see what is added, like
Yeah.
what becomes the new, because pickleball might be coming.
Oh, it's on the way. It's on the way. There, I have no doubt. I know the tennis people will be upset. Alona Mar actually got a photo with Coco Golf, and while they were taking a photo, there was someone else taking a video, and Alona Mar had said like, "Oh, I played pickleball this morning," or something like trying to relate. And Coco
Mhm.
Golf looked at her and was like, "No, no, I didn't realize." I did some digging. The pickleball crowd and the tennis crowd
Oh
have
yes.
real beef with
Oh
each other.
yes.
So Alona Mar was trying to make a joke, and you could just see the innocence and fear in her face when Coco Golf like took a sidestep and was like, "Eh." Like they have real beef with
Oh
tennis
yes.
and pickleball.
Yes, real beef. Yes.
But
But
I think it's gonna get added. It's
well,
definitely true.
but until it gets added, the sport you plan on meddling in
Is
2028
2028. You are
is
going to see me on the podium. I will be a handball champion. Listen, I at age 30, I still have very good side to side. I'm still pretty quick. When I play in the volleyball league, I'm okay at it, but the one thing that everyone says is like when I jump, I like hover for a minute before I spike the ball. I would dominate at handball, and I did some research. I'm not the only person that feels this way. There are people that played basketball that literally just wanted to play handball for fun and ended up on the Olympic team because like they're just like it's not a sport that is hard to be good at. One of my questions I always ask people like in the group chat or when I'm my party question is always if you had 4 years, money was no object, what is one Olympic event that you think you could medal in? Not necessarily win, but medal in.
Mine is going to be the luge. I can totally be the guy who
Yes.
jumps on the sled.
Yeah, right.
Or the
Mine was always
bobsled. I can be like the
archery.
middle guy, like
Yeah, yeah, you're just there. All you have to do is just not take up space, and like when you feel them lean, you lean with them. Just yeah, I could do that.
right.
Mine was always archery because I saw the bows they had, and they are
Mhm.
so complicated and complex. And I'm like, if I can just like hold my hand steady, this bow is so complex that I feel like as long as I'm in the general direction, like I'll hit the
Right.
target. Then I discovered handball, and then I did a deep dive, and like from now until forever, that will be my answer. It is handball. I
It is
looked
handball.
up their highlight reels. I was posting them on my Instagram, just laughing like
Wait a minute, your highlight reels? Because I
I
do
know not
believe.
mine. Their high like I
Well,
looked
wait a
up
minute. I'm saying even I believe the word you
the
used in
low
the
light,
text.
the low lights. The low lights of handball is just these guys like they're passing it just back, just walking down the handball court, just like passing the handball back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
A guy goes, takes a jab step, jumps, and then throws the handball into a net that's like this wide. And I'm just like sitting there and I'm
A ball
like,
that's like this. Yeah, that's not
yeah,
very big. Yeah.
yeah, it's like one of those foam Nerf balls that you buy for your little nephew that because he's too young for like a real a soccer ball. Like you could like squeeze it. I'm telling you, if I find out that there's a handball league in St. Louis, 2028, I will
Ooh.
be in LA.
Yeah. Ask Favorite Flavor to sponsor that, would you?
Right? Like, I'm like, and the thing is, whenever I'm gonna say, like, I'm gonna join the league. I'm gonna come in as a newcomer, and then in like 2 weeks, I will be their MVP. I will, I will try out for the team. I will make it. I would be team captain, but because I'm so new, I
And
wouldn't be.
and humble.
I would be humble. Yes, yeah, humble, of course.
Please. I
Wouldn't
know.
say
I should be. I know you want me
anything.
as your captain.
Yes, like guys, I'm the new guy. Let that other guy
Sorry.
do it.
That's too much for just a simple little me.
I won't say anything on Instagram. And then I'm just gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm going to the opening ceremonies for the Olympics. I'm like, what? You got tickets to LA? I'm like, yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? And then you're gonna see me like in the opening ceremony, and they're gonna be like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm handball. And I'm letting you know right now, we're winning the gold. Or we're on the podium. Like we are at worst third best in the world. Why? Because I'm here now. Like I just, I just,
Well,
uh,
it's it's written in the it's a fate
yep.
at this point.
I have
It's
laid it out for you guys. Like this
when
is my 10-step plan.
when it appeared on when you saw it in the Olympics this year, you were like, hands down, this is
Yeah,
it. I've found this is
the
my
one.
calling.
This
This
is the one.
is
I could
this is
probably do
what's gonna
three
get
on
me
three
the gold.
basketball as well. They play a very old man style of basketball, a lot of pick and rolls, a lot of setting screens. Like I could do that. I don't have to run up and down the court, so I'm not gonna be just gassed in 30 seconds. I 3-on-3 basketball I could do. Honestly, it'll
You
probably be
could
a
be
little
the
bit
new
tougher.
glasses guy for pickleball. You could
I
be
could.
sitting there in the chair with your glasses on,
Yes. That'll be
just
me. Just be sitting
relaxing,
here.
kick back.
Be like, all right, Will, it's your time. They're gonna say like whatever my phrase is that like triggers me. Like open my eyes and I'm just like, all right, let's
You're the
go.
winter. You're the summer. So the winter
The
soldier, the
summer
summer
soldier.
soldier.
That would 100% be me.
They have a book full of phrases that they need to use. That'd be
Oh,
oh well, I mean, we could use that as a segue into Marvel
yeah.
because now we can talk about and we can talk about it. We
It
talk
has
about Deadpool
been a week
week.
If you have not seen it, that's on you.
Right.
So
So we're gonna discuss spoilers, like plot line, like just
we're also going
the
to
art.
discuss this bad boy.
It's very
Got a
the
ton.
it's very it's I mean it definitely is fleshlighty, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Made
I
a
mean
plan,
it's
executed the plan.
yeah, the one at the Alamo sold out within the first 2 hours.
Was that different from that one? Because that one's
Mm-hmm.
AMC exclusive, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had the Deadpool mask, but yeah, they
Oh,
had
nice.
sold out in the first 2 hours on Thursday.
Which is why I went there. Oh, I went there Monday. They
Yep.
said they didn't have them yet. I went there Tuesday. They said they didn't have them yet. I went there Wednesday. They said they had them, but they couldn't sell them until Thursday. I said, okay. Then I went to AMC to see what time the first showing for Deadpool was on Thursday. It was 3:30 or 3:40. I said, cool. I'll be there at 3,
Yeah.
2:45. I went there and I bought it. I went to a different AMC and bought another one.
And I'm sure they were sold out probably even there, like and
When I
within
went back for my actual showing at 6, the only ones I saw, I think, were the little Deadpool mask, the zombie Deadpool floating head one that honestly, I don't even know why they made that one.
right.
Um, I think they maybe would have, I think they might have had a couple places that had some carry into Friday, but they didn't last past Friday.
Oh no.
And
No.
that's a big if. I think 90% of them probably sold out on Thursday. And then, like, if you saw an early show on Friday, maybe you had a chance. But outside of that, they were gone.
It's insane. It's insane. And I
Yep.
wonder how much they're going for on eBay on or on anything online, like how much people are selling. Because people are
People
trying
are
to run.
selling them for anywhere from, because they cost 33 to $35. I forget, it was one of those two numbers. But people are selling just the Wolverine ones for 75, 80, $100. Some people are selling the bundles of the Wolverine and the Deadpool one for like 130.
For a popcorn bucket?
Yeah,
Are you gonna sell one of yours?
already did. I sold it for
Did you
130.
really?
I did. That's why I bought two. I got the Deadpool one and the zombie mask, and I
Did you
sold
make your
them
money
both.
back?
So yeah, so I got I think I spent for both popcorn buckets, I think after taxes it cost like $75.
Mhm.
I sold my bundle for $130.
My God.
Kind of wish
Wow.
I'd gone back and bought a bunch more, but I was like, no,
Ah.
I didn't want to be that guy. I mean, I was that guy, but I didn't want to be that guy.
I mean, that guy. But I kind of wish I
Yeah,
was that guy.
right. I mean, would
That
have
guy
been
would have
that
been a little
bad if
bit
I
richer.
was that guy. Just had a truck full of the just driving around with these, like having my trench coat, like, hey, I heard you need a Wolverine popcorn.
Right.
This
So
one though,
speaking,
I am keeping. I like this one. I'm keeping. I don't even plan
yeah.
on using it. It's gonna be sitting on my shelf like this
Well,
to greet
yeah,
my guests
yeah,
when they
you
walk
should,
into my
yeah.
house.
You should, yeah. You definitely should keep at
Sarah
least
looked at it
one.
and was like, I feel like if you reach your hand and you can't even get popcorn out, I was like, babe, this is not for popcorn.
Yeah, I don't know how to break this to you.
They might tell you it's a popcorn
Right.
bucket. Let
Oh,
me
you
introduce you to the
sweet,
real world.
right? Sweet, sweet, gentle soul.
Right? This is
Like,
not for
man,
popcorn.
you'd be like, ma'am, I know what kind of books you read. You
Right,
know
exactly.
damn well that's not a popcorn bucket.
uh
No, and pretend like this is a character in one of your books. You
yeah.
know. So, what did you think of the movie?
I thought it was a fun superhero movie. I thought it was a really good Deadpool movie.
Right.
And I thought Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, but seeing Wolverine and Deadpool together, but honestly, just seeing Wolverine, like any screen time we get of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I love.
Oof.
He is one of my favorite. He is one of my favorite characters, and Hugh Jackman played him so well. So just seeing him on screen again was great. I know some people were upset about how they started the film with the grave with Logan, but I was like, you knew this was coming.
Right.
Um, so I thought it was a fun movie. It didn't blow me away. It didn't reset the multiverse, and I'm gonna let you get into that because I think we had talked and I had said I thought maybe that was the route they were taking, but I didn't put too much stock into it. So when it didn't happen, I wasn't too upset. I
Right.
thought Cassandra Nova was a pretty good villain.
Yeah.
And that whoever her character was played her extremely well. Although the fingers through the nose thing kind of creeped me out, but that,
Oh,
that's neither here nor there.
oh,
Um, Wolverine in the OG suit, especially when he put the mask on, just I loved that. I loved the action. The cameos were great. I have my opinions on Gambit, probably not as strong as yours, but I have my opinions. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. Um, I thought I thought it was good to see a good Marvel movie, but it's also a Marvel movie that has pretty much no implications on the rest of the universe,
yeah.
which I know
Yeah.
some people feel some type of way.
Yeah. I and I kind of wondered, it's like, is that the fault? Like, one, hmm, it's it's the fault of Marvel and Kevin Feige for, I mean, when you that's ingrained in you for 18, 20 years, that there's the world's build and it's some you're building towards something
Sure.
that is like, that kind of is ingrained into what we have come to associate with Marvel. They have definitely fallen, like changed that formula, good or bad, for or whatever they plan on doing. So it, but it's still part of us who grew up with all those films that we're expecting, okay, but how does this relate to the bigger picture? And
Picture.
maybe
Yep.
now it is a fault of our own that we're doing that still, when he's shown that he's not doing that anymore, purposefully or unpurposefully. Like, it's like, I really got, somebody earlier this week or last week told me that my review was, I won't use the word, for YouTube reasons, but because they said my review was based on a lot of on what I had hoped. Well, it really wasn't, because I still gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought that was a pretty good, and like it was a pretty good rating for the movie. Like it. I feel like sometimes, like, yeah, I think you should know what you're going into with Deadpool. It is going to be Joe, because like even in the comics, he took all the comics and kind of whoever character he was with brought them down to his level. Like it is he is a debasing kind of character. Like he's going to take whatever seriousness there is of that character, and he's going to bring them down to his level. Granted, but I mean, like, after 2 hours and 15 minutes, you're just like, oh my god, I don't know if I can take another joke. But I mean, again, that's the character. That's, I don't, not upset about that in any kind of way, but you do still sit there and wonder, okay, well, when we were introduced to Henry the Calverine,
Calverine.
is
That was a
that
good
going
one.
to, are they saying, oh, this is the direction
He
we're
is a free
going?
agent.
Right? It's like, oh, are they using him? That's interesting. When using, I am a little confused as to how X-23 got there. A lot of I did still have a lot of questions on, like, why she was there. Like, I mean, I guess it was, or from what universe. There were
Yeah,
so
because
many
was it the one
universes.
from the void? Did they rescue all of them from the void, or is this a different universe's one?
I'm a little, yeah, but I mean, like, sometimes I feel like my problem, I guess, with the Marvel movies now is there's a lot of multiverse used without a lot of explanation of, right. I mean, like, it's, I just,
Once you opened that Pandora's box, and I guess Pandora's box might be a bad phrasing because that makes it sound like it's a bad thing.
Right.
Using the multiverse was awesome, and it's accurate to the comics. However, the implications that follow opening the multiverse kind of require you to give us more detail, more explanation on things because the implications of the multiverse, infinite possibilities of infinite characters. You can't just open that can of worms and then just be like, oh, we're going to give you 10% of the details. Like, no, we need more than that.
Yeah, and it's like, and for so he wasn't accepted into 616, right? I mean, that's the beginning of the movie, the whole point of the movie is he's not accepted into 616, and so he's kind of trying to find his purpose in the universe that he's in. Is 616 the one where he is a car salesman, or is that another universe?
It said that one was Earth
One, yeah.
116 or whatever. So I
So
think the
he's
secret timeline is just untouched. Like he's just not there.
so he's still not in. Him and
I
Wolverine
don't
are not
think so. I think he went back to that universe and was just going to be content. Well, so his universe was dying because
the Wolverine had
Wolverine died. So
died.
Wolverine was in Earth 116, I guess.
So Logan was you're talking about the Logan was in his car salesman universe.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay, because that's why it was dying, because that's why Mr. Paradox said it was dying, but it
right,
usually takes a couple thousand years. So was Deadpool basically, even though he tried to bring back this Wolverine as the new anchor, and the guy said that's not how it works. So was he going back to his universe essentially just content that he was going to, since he can't really die, live his life with his loved ones. They will eventually die, pass away.
right. He said like thousands of years, right?
Yeah, and then at the end of it, he's okay with just fading away because he's found his purpose. Okay, but you wonder about the other universes and, what's Logan doing? Like, is he going back to the universe where they hate him, or is he staying in Earth 116 with uh well, that's actually another question. So in that universe that Logan's dead in, that could literally just be that Laura, because technically if he is in that universe and Logan died,
Right.
Laura is grown up now, so maybe they just went and found her and said, hey, the guy that saved you is back and not dying, so come
But
have
it was like,
Thanksgiving
was
dinner
she
with us.
pruned because she posed because wasn't Paradox's thing was he pruned everybody that posed a threat to that universe, like some, then he said
To
like they
their
pose a threat,
universe.
yeah, their universe. So she would pose a threat to that because she would have taken Logan's place. So was she, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe.
Like,
Well, and that
mm,
actually brings up a funny thing that I did. I watched it again last night. And this time around, I was taking mental notes, and
oh,
people
okay.
can be mad at me for how I'm going to do this, what I'm going to say, but I have been very vocal. The way that people criticize new Star Wars and Marvel projects, although they are not perfect and deserve to have their criticisms, people nitpick way too much. Usually it involves, they nitpick anything that involves too many diverse characters or female characters. And I looked at Deadpool, I looked at the reviews, I looked at all the fanboys that saying it was amazing, perfect, blah, 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 blah. So I said, okay, what if we nitpicked the things in Deadpool
Sure.
that you guys nitpick for literally every other
Everything
Marvel
else.
project and Star Wars project? And what would those things be? And these things that you have now seen Deadpool and people just acknowledge, but if it was not Deadpool, you would say it ruined the whole movie. Number one, the end of the movie, Deadpool could not reach the antimatter and matter thing. So Wolverine came in and helped him, but Wolverine couldn't reach it. So he used his claws, and the adamantium was enough to reach meaning that it didn't need to be a physical person. It just needed to be two things touching. Deadpool could have pulled out his two katanas, stood in the middle, boom, would have done it.
Right.
But he didn't think of that apparently, so you needed Wolverine. Next thing, how did X-23 beat Juggernaut? This man went head to head with Wolverine and the other X-Men for years and years and years and years. They could not beat him. X-23, a child, went up against Juggernaut, cut his legs off, and decapitated him with low difficulty in like 5 minutes or less. I thought it was cool, but I guarantee you, if that was not a Deadpool movie, y'all would have lost your minds.
It added Pyro going up against Johnny
Oh, that
Flame.
was the next thing on my list.
Oh,
How did Pyro beat Johnny? This man can go supernova, and Pyro one-shot him in like 10 seconds. I
right.
had it on the list. How did the humans get to the X-Mansion and kill all of the X-Men when Logan was out? And I realized they needed to have his sad story. And I realized in the comics, the humans did find ways to get over on the X-Men from time to time. But you're telling me a bunch of humans went to the mansion and killed all of the X-Men while Wolverine was gone? You're telling me that, like, unless you had the caveat that they had the Sentinels help, but then it wouldn't have made as much sense for Wolverine to go crazy on humanity, so that he just had to say humans. That would make that would ruin someone's day in if it was not a Deadpool movie. This one I know some people, and this one you can, and these other things, these are not things you can explain away. Like, no, it's within Deadpool's character. No, these are just plot holes in the story that if it was any other movie, not
Right.
Deadpool or Star Wars, you would have written 6 articles and 18 YouTube videos telling me how Marvel or Star Wars is dead and how Disney ruined it. This last one, you can argue it's within Deadpool's character, but I have a point. Deadpool starting his movie off with an entire dance number to the Backstreet Boys or NSYNC,
Yeah.
whichever one it was, is
That's sweet.
completely fine. But She-Hulk twerking with Megan Thee Stallion for
Yep.
like 2 seconds, you lost your minds. And if you say, well, that's within Deadpool's character, you don't know the character of She-Hulk. Yes, she was a corporate lawyer, but she was also a freak, and she was also just
Oh,
like
yeah.
a fun-loving character. Her twerking with Megan Thee Stallion or
She,
any pop star was on brand. And it was
yep.
a 2 second throwaway scene at the end of the
End.
episode, and y'all lost your minds. But Deadpool having a full-on dance number was completely fine. And that's all I
100%
have
agree.
during my
A
second viewing.
hundred.
I could probably find more.
Oh no, 100%. Yes, the dance thing. I thought that this, like let's keep it fair. Keep the same energy. Keep the same
Yes,
energy.
that's
Keep
all
the
I want. Because
just
again, these movies and shows are not without their faults. But the
sure.
way that you guys have nitpicked every single thing, and I noticed this one wasn't in the Deadpool movie, but I have always said everyone was fine with it. But
Hmm.
in Endgame, when Captain America was able to use Thor's hammer on expert
Yes.
level with zero training, he was able to wield the hammer. He was able to call it to him. He was able to pull down lightning with no training.
Oh yeah.
Literally in the moment, I thought, oh, that's weird, but I didn't lose sleep over it. I didn't
Right.
care. The movie was still great. But
You have
if
to
that
suspend
happened,
some disbelief. Right.
exactly. But if that happened today, people would talk about how it ruined the movie. It took them out of the scene. And it wasn't like it was an unimportant scene. This was Captain America, the leader of the Avengers, going up against Thanos. And suddenly he's just able to use Thor's hammer. How come he didn't use it in Civil War? Or how come he
Right.
didn't use it in any other movie? And you would have said it ruined the whole fight for me because it just wasn't believable, is what you would have said word for word. And don't get in the comment section and tell me that I'm wrong, because I know that I'm not. These
Right.
movies are not without their faults, but stop nitpicking everything for one movie or group. But because it's a character you like in Deadpool, you are able to look past
Yes.
all of these things.
Right. You put
That's
in
all I'm
sync on
gonna
your phone.
say.
Yeah, for every guy who's claimed he didn't have NSYNC on his phone and now just all of a sudden kind of does. Like,
Yeah,
exactly. Just hold the same energy. If it bothered you so much then, it should bother you so much now. Like that's
exactly.
it.
Like I
Zero
remember
difference.
watching it the second time through, and I remember just when she cut off Juggernaut's head, I'm like, wait a minute, because I know Juggernaut is like you never really beat Juggernaut. Like you guys kind of just go to a standstill, or he gets tired and leaves or
And he
something because you
walked. Yeah,
can't really beat
he
him.
basically just walks away from the fight and is like,
Yeah,
I'll come back some other time and fight you
yeah.
guys. Like
Like you
that's
don't beat him. She decapitated him on her
yeah,
own.
some
And
people's
I'm in the
powers seem to
theater like, man,
be,
that was awesome, but
but
this wasn't Deadpool. Y'all would have been like, oh, a woman was able to beat Juggernaut. Like that's what would have been said. But because it was a Deadpool movie, you were like, oh no, it's good. It's
it's
cool.
great. Anything can happen.
Right. Anything can happen
Well,
in the void.
there can be a non-generating Deadpool.
Right. Exactly. Like again, I thought it was a really good movie, but I couldn't
It
help but
was
notice
fun.
society's reaction to
Oh,
it compared to every
hands
other
down.
project that's come out since Endgame. And again, with Endgame, that Thor's hammer thing, if that was made now, oh,
I
the
don't know.
YouTube
Would they hold the same energy? I'm not
no,
sure.
probably not.
I'm not sure because like again, that's everybody cheered when it happened,
It's true.
and so yeah, I
Yeah.
don't. But then what was so offensive in Endgame was the tribe of
Yeah,
women. The tribe of
exactly.
women was more
I just
offensive.
ruined it for me. Like, I just don't see why we had to
It's
put
like
that scene in there with all
you're
of these women
revealing
fighting.
yourself.
Like, I couldn't. It ruined the movie for me. But Cap using Thor's hammer on God mode with no training. Oh no, bro, that was awesome. That was awesome, bro. What are you talking about?
But women standing together,
No, can't have it.
no, defending a
Why are
child.
there even that many on the screen at the same time? Like, what are we doing here? Like, why are we doing this, guys? Just
Right.
ugh.
And not that we haven't seen the Avengers with Black Widow, just the single solitary Black Widow as the female, and the rest of them are all guys. And you have countless scenes of Tony Stark and Captain America and Thor together all the time on the screen, all the time. In Age of Ultron, in the Avengers, like always together, and never. I mean,
It's fine.
it's fine,
It's completely fine.
fine. But
But yeah, that was my little mini rant. I'm sure people will have something to say, but I felt like I need to get that off my
well,
chest.
it's before somebody corrects us, it was Earth 1005. No,
Okay,
10,005.
2005.
10005. So that's my thing is okay, so he's got everybody back in 10,005, right? At the end, they've saved
Well, we
it. And
only
so
saw Laura. Well, he got his whole family back, but we didn't see any of the new Task Force X except for X-23. But we don't know if that was the Void one or the one from that planet, that Earth.
yeah, it's like, yeah, because they're like, why would
Because if they got her from the Void, then there's two Lauras there. Because the whole reason that reality is dying is because Logan died, and
right,
Logan died saving Laura. So Laura is like up in Canada somewhere, as far as we know.
right. Or she was
During
pruned by
that,
the TVA to because she would have threatened the existence
right? Yeah,
of
or she is that Laura and she was pruned. That is also a
right.
possibility,
And now
but we
she's
don't
back
know
in the ring. We don't know because it wasn't explained. Like again, there was a lot of things where I'm like, like I don't, and I again, I was very upfront does about what are the implications of this. Like, okay, I know that was very much I don't want to say a love letter to 20th Century Fox, but it was very much paying homage to all of those characters that had been in there and not wanting to just pretend like they never existed, like bring them like, okay, we do acknowledge you there, but it's like you are, but now they're still not in 616. So it's like you're I mean, you had Deadpool in there for a brief amount of time. And I guess in a way you are saying that
he made it to the
Wolverine,
lobby of 616.
right, that I guess you are saying, but I mean, like, again, is Logan the only anchor being? Like, it would be weird to only have him as the solitary anchor being for every universe. Because then what are we saying that
I would have
Who's
assumed Tony or Cap was the anchor being of 616, and that they all
but
died on that hill. One of them is dead. The other one is old and maybe dead. And technically, you could
so
argue
that
Fury's
universe
the
is
anchor
failing,
being, but
or you're saying that Logan exists somewhere in 616 and we just don't know it yet?
I would like to believe that Logan isn't the anchor being for all realities, but
Right.
it does beg the question, who is
Why
the anchor
him?
being? Right.
Well, like, okay, so he the anchor being of just and that's what confuses me because it's like, so the one that he was pulled out of,
I don't think he was the anchor being for that one. I assume it was
okay,
one of the X-Men that died.
okay, so
I think
yes,
each universe has its own unique anchor being, and when they die, however they die, that universe slowly starts to prune. And he
right,
did say when they used to prune universes, they used to do it like that. But then
right,
obviously Loki and what's her name are in charge now. So they don't
right,
prune universes, they just let them
let
slowly
them,
fade away,
right,
which okay, more
right.
humane
That
than
seems
have to
right.
stop
They were
that.
saying there was thousands of years that it would, yeah, that it would take, but
Now you
yeah,
have an interesting, not loophole, but an interesting new storyline for every other universe. But again, you could say if their anchor being, let's say it is Iron Tony Stark is the anchor being for 616. Maybe he is, and it doesn't really matter because by the time that universe fades away, we all would have moved on anyway.
yeah,
So I do get what you're saying, and it is an interesting thing that you just invented anchor beings. Someone can correct me and say it's a thing in the comics. Sure, I'll give you that. But I had never heard of it. Um, but given me the explanation that it takes thousands of years, I can look past that and say maybe Tony Stark was an anchor being. It doesn't really matter because by the time any of the characters that I care about, they won't be around when the universe gets pruned.
right. Yeah, I guess, yeah, like I understand it, yeah, it just, it's like, I, because I keep people keep talking about like, oh, like the implications for the MCU, and I don't know if
There
there
were none.
are any. Yeah, I can't.
There were
May,
no implications. Like, and again, on my second watch, I was kind of looking for that too. My question was, how does this connect to the bigger universe? The
right,
only way that I can see it connecting to a bigger universe is that the TVA has the ability to bring anyone from the void and put them into any reality that they want.
right,
And you could have done that honestly with any multiverse. Like that's kind of the point of multiverses, multiversal travel. But the void gives you a unique opportunity to pull and I don't think they're going to do this, but one of the things we always say when they add characters to the sacred timeline is like, well, where were you when, Thanos was doing what he was doing? Now you could always say like, oh, these characters or whoever were in a different universe or they were in the void and now they've been brought here. I
right,
don't think they'll necessarily do that, but I truly look at this Deadpool movie and say that it does not connect to the bigger universe as a whole whatsoever. And like you said, it's not that that's an issue, it's just we've been accustomed to that. And so
right,
now when you see a movie that references the universe that we're a part of, but doesn't actually add or take away from it, it's a little weird. I don't want to say it's bad. It was just different because I mean, one of our previous episodes, we talked about the list of things we wanted them to retcon with Deadpool. And, he says he went back in time, saved his girlfriend, did one other thing, and then smashed the time device. Basically, I think that was their way of saying we're not going to get too deep into time travel because you can acknowledge time travel gets messy. It just
yes,
does.
yes,
So
they're
they
proving it
avoided
because, yeah, because now you're gonna have everybody wondering who is 616 anger being,
that. Yeah.
and was it Tony Stark? Is the universe in collapse? I mean, or was it the sacred, you know, there is no, but okay, but then in Loki, did they do away with a sacred timeline? Because he gathered everything in his hands for the tree, right? I mean, there was no one big.
He gathered it, but I think at its core, the sacred timeline was still there. Because I think in this movie, I think it said 616 sacred
Sacred
timeline.
timeline.
Like they still acknowledged it as the sacred timeline. I think with
Oh, yeah,
Loki, I think he was just holding them all together, but I think the sacred timeline is still sacred. I want
yeah.
to believe.
But then that would mean that he who remains was the anchor being of the sacred timeline, right?
Who?
He who remains, who is
I don't
no
know what you're talking
longer.
about. Oh, Doctor Doom, you mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of my point is
Yeah.
we lost him to a domestic violence case. It wasn't Thanos that brought him down, it was the legal system. Our universe is in collapse.
Yeah, honestly, that's what happened. That's a good question, though.
Yeah, it's only like they don't like
That's a good
who's
question.
it's I'm yeah, it's I guess yeah, I guess a part of it is it was less MC. I don't feel like Deadpool had outside of him going to the Sacred Timeline and asking to be part of the Avengers. I don't feel like it had anything else to do with this the MCU. I think like it was
Which
like,
is
oh,
fine. I'm okay
right.
with standalone projects, but I like that they established this was on a different planet. I know one of our big issues with Echo, there was a lot of issues with Echo,
Yeah, a
but
lot of issues.
it just seemed like why are we supposed to care about what's happening at the reservation? Like there's a lot out in the ocean. But if you had said like this was a different timeline or whatever, but as far as we understand, that is the same timeline with everything else, and we're worried about some small town beef in Oklahoma. At least with Deadpool, they established like, hey, we are over here.
Right.
So nothing that we do here is going to impact
Is right.
anything over here.
Unless we come and snatch one of your anchor people who we don't yeah, I don't
One of your anchor people. Who is it? Who wouldn't you like to know?
yeah. Yeah, like I have questions. Like I said, I have questions. I just it like I said, it was a good like I would definitely I'm definitely gonna watch it again when it's
Yeah,
streaming. It's funny. It is a lot. I mean, you watch it you can watch it for the references alone just to see how many you can, get and stuff like that. It's the cameos were great. I did have a little bit of an issue with
talk to us
using
about this.
yeah, I just had a little problem with the Channing Tatum thing. I just felt like I guess it was just I just didn't like that you brought again if you wanted to keep it all in there like we talked about Taylor Kitsch actually played him first. He played him
Yeah.
was X-Men Origins.
X-Men Origin Wolverine. Yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine,
And
or however you pronounce it, or whatever
he
order.
played a good one. I mean, he didn't play he
It
played
was fine.
he played fine. Yeah, fine. But you brought Channing in and it was like I feel like okay, and he had always wanted to play the role, but then like you give him the role and you basically make fun of him the entire time. I like I guess like I mean I'm sure Channing Tatum was just happy to be in it and was like great. But I mean, like on the other hand, it was like, okay, so like me playing this character is such a joke to you that you're using him as a joke. I
Yeah,
just
he was the butt. His entire existence was the butt
was
of the joke. Like I think make the joke, make the references. I thought the action sequences with him were cool, but
yeah,
anytime that his mouth was moving, he was a
it was a
joke. Like
joke.
him throwing cards and fighting, cool. But the minute he starts talking,
He was
he
the
was the
butt of
butt
every
of the
joke.
joke. And it just
Yeah,
continued the whole time. Kind of like Martin Lawrence in the new Bad Boys, which I talked about that off air, but I'll get into that some other time. But if your entire existence
is a joke.
is a joke, you lose me pretty quickly.
Right. It's just like, oh. Like,
Yeah.
really, this is like, it's like, it would be like a character that we've all been dying to see. It would be like if they had brought, when they finally did bring John Krasinski in as Reed Richards in Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and he was a joke. Like, I mean, and they made him
When
like,
he
I
died,
mean, I guess, and I
but
know it wouldn't have fit in that, and it wouldn't have fit in that movie because that's not how that movie was. But, and I know again, Deadpool is supposed to be the jokes and stuff like that, but you still had Laura, the X-23, you had the Daphne Keene, who had played her, you had Jennifer Gardner who had played Elektra, you had Wesley Snipes who had played, like, you had these people who were established in film with their own movies that were, whether they were good movies or bad movies, they still played them with a seriousness. I mean, they were all serious characters, not as jokes. And so it's like you had them, they were already there. So when you then, they did have jokes and you could make fun of them or you could tease them. It was all because they were already established there. And it's like, okay, but I already know you were in your own movie. It's like he was brought in specifically to be the butt of a joke. And I just, that I, again, it's like if there's a character out there that you're like, you just can't wait to see on screen. And I'm blanking on who I would want to see right now that hasn't been played 500 times is
live action Miles Morales. If you brought in Miles Morales into live action and you made him just his entire existence a joke,
you'd
I would
flip
lose
tables.
my mind. I would I would lose my mind
What I'm
because
saying,
I've
like, it's
been
just,
calling for Miles Morales for so long. They're not dumb. They're going to give us the character. They saw how much money uh the Spider-Verse universe is making. He's a very popular character. It's gonna happen. Who knows when? But yeah, it's just
if you would have brought in Galactus and you just made him
a mouth
finger
cloud. It
guns,
would have been,
I would have
yeah,
been like, this is what we're doing. You're just like, this is what we're doing. I
yeah.
can't believe this is what we're
For a
doing. Like
character that
this,
we've been asking for. We've been
yes.
asking for Gambit for a while, and not just we were not just asking for Gambit. There was it Channing Tatum as Gambit was a thing. Like the reason
Right.
why it was him is
Right. Was
because
because it was
it
a
was
thing.
him,
Right.
and
It was him.
then
He was lobbying
it,
for the role. That's, yeah, there's, I just feel like like any character, why him? Any character that, again, you who hadn't been in the movies that we didn't already have facial recognition with as far as another movie might go, and then you just bring him in and it was just so, it pulled me out of the movie so much that that yeah, it just knocked me back a little bit because to me the things that were like the main highlights were the fights between Wolverine and Deadpool were just so good, so good. The one of them in the void and the one of them in the van,
Honda
or
Odyssey.
yeah, the Odyssey. Yeah, even just when they're fighting all the Deadpools at the, it's so good.
Yeah,
It's, yeah, and so like just that, just a few things where I'm just like, that was, I wish they would have said it was supposed to have implications for the MCU because it didn't. I don't feel like it did. If it did,
did I
it,
haven't caught him.
it bypassed me
Yeah,
in some sort of way. And then, like I said, just the Gambit thing, it was just like, oh, what are we doing here? Like, why are we
yeah,
doing this? This is not, this is not it. So
yeah. Yeah, I wasn't I thought for a minute it was funny, and then
it started to wear. It
it
really
started to
did.
wear, especially like, yeah, they started talking about going to fight Cassandra and her goons and getting hyped up and all of this. And anytime that he talked, it was just a joke. It was just a joke. And it's like, well, we already have someone that does that. It's
Right.
Deadpool. We already
Right.
have that character.
Yeah, I feel
We
like you
don't
could
need a
completely take
second
him out.
character.
I could feel like you could completely take him out of the movie, and the movie would have been perfectly fine without him.
I really enjoyed the movie. The one thing I did say on Twitter, this was not my favorite version of Wolverine. It was still a good Wolverine because I think Hugh Jackman plays a good Wolverine always. But
Sure.
I think Deadpool is such a polarizing character, and by polarizing, I mean he's an attention-seeking character,
Right.
which is fine. Again, that's in his nature, that is his character. But because he is such a polarizing, attention-grabbing character, if you are alongside him on screen for, 80, 90% of the movie, you have to not necessarily match his tone or energy 100%, but you have to get closer to his tone if you're going
Right.
to be side by side with such a polarizing character. And Logan's shenanigans and tone is usually a little bit more down here, and Deadpool's is more up here. But Logan had to change his tone to be closer to Deadpool.
Right.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't my favorite version of
Of
Logan
Logan.
slash
Mhm.
Wolverine.
Oh
That
yeah,
is
my
not a
favorite.
knock
Yep.
against him. Well, I'm not saying it was terrible, but when you ask me my favorite version of Wolverine Logan, I will not say the Deadpool and Wolverine version
Sure.
though.
Which, I mean, I think that's, kind of to end this is we've been blessed with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine for as long as we have.
Yeah.
It's for 20 24 years of him as, and I feel like it's it was such, I mean, it's maybe sounds hyperbole, but it was such a blessing to have him be
Yeah.
our Wolverine for a quarter of a century, like
Honestly though.
right. I mean, like it's just such a blessing to have somebody, and I always go back to him as far as when people complain about the casting of characters. I'm not talking about RDJ for Doctor Doom, that is a, we've covered that. But when people like they're really, like squinty eye at Pedro Pascal, anytime the character is, an actor is cast and they're like, and I'm always like, nobody really thought. I mean, when you were gonna cast a 6'2" Aussie as Wolverine, nobody thought, and he was, and he
Yeah.
he is so much to the point where like we don't want to give him up. Like we keep
Right.
pulling, like he said, is you're going to be doing this
So you're
until
90. They
like
have talked about bringing the X-Men into the MCU and all this different stuff. And the immediate go-to is not who's going to play Charles, who's going to do this, who's going to do
right.
this. It has always, always, always who's going to play Wolverine. So much so, and I realize again, he looks the same age, but even when you did First Class and had all the younger versions of these characters, you were like, who's going to be a young Wolverine for these cameos?
He's like,
You
we're
had
gonna
to be for X-Men First Class and uh what was the other one? Not Dark Phoenix, but the whatever the
yeah,
other X-Men First Class was. They Apocalypse.
yeah.
I think they
Yeah,
had
there was
Hugh Jackman.
Apocalypse in the day, not the
There
day
was
after
Days of
tomorrow.
Future Past,
Days of Future Past.
but there was the other one where they let him out. Like they went to that place and they let him out of.
Was that that
There
wasn't
was
was that
that was
Phoenix?
Savage Wolverine. I just remember Sansa let him out in like.
Yeah.
But again, they
Right.
used Hugh Jackman. There has never been a
Right.
Wolverine that we have not known. Like it's been Hugh Jackman. It has been Hugh Jackman. It has been Hugh Jackman. No matter what timeline, no matter what time period, it has been Hugh Jackman. We have been blessed for a quarter of a century because he is that good. And yeah, a 6'2" Aussie that no one really knew us. I think that was his big break. Obviously now it's like Hugh Jackman. It's like, oh yeah, Hugh Jackman.
Yeah. You
But
can't have another Wolverine outside of Hugh Jackman. Are you
yeah,
kidding
right
me?
now
Like,
I'm looking at Daniel Radcliffe, the Calverine. Like, there's been a lot of different people, but when you talk about characters that were perfectly cast to play their character, Hugh Jackman is
was not on that
usually
list.
everyone's list.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
you can
but he
name a lot of
became
different people, but he's on that list.
right. It's like again, it's a quarter of a century and like generations have grown up with him as Wolverine now. And it's like you said, it may not be our favorite one, but we've been so blessed to have him be so many different versions and move and elevate not great X-Men movies to a level that they probably should have never been at, but because he was in it and just embodied that character over years. Like, yeah, it was I
You've
I
had
don't know what they plan
18
on doing with him.
Batmans, 4 Spider-Mans, 1 Wolverine. Like
Two roadies.
two roadies.
And a
Yeah,
partridge in a
like
pear tree, right?
it's like there are so many, but yeah, he has embodied that character. And so to say this was not my favorite version is not a knock against him or the character. It was just the Wolverine tone that I'm more accustomed to
Right,
had to be a little different to match or be closer to matching Deadpool's character, which makes
right,
sense. You're sharing a screen for a majority of the movie, but
right,
again, my criticisms are not I didn't hate the movie. I thought it was a very fun, good movie. So don't say I'm
right.
hating everything. Apparently, we have a very toxic and hating podcast. But
Oh yes.
what
Yes,
I
we
but
rage farm
again,
over here.
yeah, the Rage Farm, that's what it was. But the one hill that I will die on, and if you want to, I will die on this hill is my list of things that people would have nitpicked had this been a Star Wars
Oh
project,
yeah.
or too many women in this Marvel project, or anything after Endgame that wasn't Deadpool. These things that I
Oh yeah.
listed,
They s-
Deadpool not using the swords, X-23 beating Juggernaut, Pyro beating Johnny Storm, the humans killing the X-Men, and then Deadpool dancing. All of those things would have been things that had pages and pages
they would
of rage.
have they would have rate bombed it, yeah.
Yeah,
Had it been, yeah.
exactly.
They would have, yeah, they would have rate bombed it. And in fact, they're so angry at critics for saying, it wasn't, like
Right.
it was okay that they're up in arms about it. And you're like,
Yeah,
how does
they're
that
mad
feel?
at the critics for criticizing it. Like that should tell you everything you need to know about people who say, look at the ratings for The Acolyte or look at the ratings for this. And again, we are not saying those shows were perfect, but if you are getting mad at people for criticizing this
Legit,
project,
right.
then you are now telling me that I cannot trust your opinions
Ever.
ever. You can't be mad at a critic for criticizing something because you were fine with criticizing this. You were fine if they criticized this. But now that it's something that you like, a character that you love, how dare you
Yeah,
criticize
it's a whole
it?
bunch of crotch grabbing. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. But twerking, my God, let's not do that. So well, we're gonna end on that. That's our thoughts on we're gonna go watch, I'm sure, some more Olympics.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There's gonna be a knitting competition that I'm gonna be locked in on.
And you're gonna like, and I will tell you, like,
What needles
so
are they using?
yes, I will tell you, I will turn on a sport I have never seen before, and I will Google all the
Yep.
rules and regulations for it and be so locked in that I will wonder, what am I doing right now? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm so invested in this. I can't
When they
believe
come
it.
into St. Louis, do they sell jerseys?
Right. Can I sponsor a team?
Right. I don't have
No.
$2 million, but I'm gonna get you to LA in 2028. We're gonna find a way.
So on that note, we bid you adieu.
All right. We'll see.